doing all the fancy stuff today. We got the fancy stuff going. How you doing, buddy?
Great, great. Are we live now?
It's the first time we've ever done a live show, so hopefully everybody likes it. We'll tweak it from there. Everybody's on live
Yeah,
now. Everyone's going live. Everybody's broadcasting. I think it's a
I
good
love it.
thing. It
Yeah,
gives you a chance to kind of respond in real time and kind of just give people an idea of what you're doing. So, what's going on, Maddie?
yeah, man. Yeah, no, I feel really good. I think it's just a good way to show real transparency. So this is it, man. This is about as raw as it gets, right? Just going live. Um, no filters here, right? I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
excited.
I'm doing a couple different softwares, so I'm noticing it's a little bit choppy, but we're just going to deal with it. So we've been talking about insanity and how life has been a bit choppy for everybody too. We got the kids at home, Corona care as we call it, and it's a
Hashtag Corona
lot.
care. Let's trend that out. Let's trend that out. Hashtag Corona care.
Corona care. So a lot of people out there know what we're talking about with having the kids at home. I mean, you and I work a lot with the kids at home anyway, so it's not really anything
Mhm.
that new for us. But at the same time, it's a lot. And I think it's
Yeah.
important to just kind of stay sane and just kind of stay in your groove and do whatever you got to do to keep everybody happy. I've been getting up way earlier because then I can get a little bit done in the morning and then be up when the kids wake up, give mom a little break. And it's just, dude, it's insanity. So, what about you
Yeah,
guys? I
man.
mean, you go
No,
on a
it
walk with like
is.
three different kids at the same time, right?
Oh, without a doubt, man. What I do is I'm big on knowing your why, and I know when to give my wife a break, and where she just needs a little reality check, and she needs some silence. So I'll take the kids out. I'll tell you what, though, full transparency. Probably dropped a few four-letter words. My oldest daughter, she's 3 going on 4, and we just put training wheels on a bike for her and she wants to go. So I was actually trying to push a stroller. I was trying to carry a 5-month-old baby and teach a kid how to ride a bike. I was about to literally lose my mind.
Hmm.
But I knew what I was doing for a better cause, right? I was giving my wife a little bit of break, but I said I'd never do that again. Absolutely not. Am I trying to push a stroller, carry a baby? Did it the hard way. Baby was crying. So it was pretty crazy stuff. Corona care is a very real thing. Unbelievable how grateful I am for number one daycare, but the teachers in general. Man, teachers are awesome. That's one thing that's never going to go away. I don't think homeschooling is going to be a trend after this. I really don't. I think people realize that it's some people are cut out for it and some people aren't. My wife and I are definitely not those people that are cut out for any sort of homeschooling. So I give props to the stay-at-home moms. I give props to stay-at-home teachers that are mom and teacher hybrids, and then the teachers in general. Man, amazing support from our teachers, getting on Zoom, trying to also parent their kids, doing some crazy stuff. But my wife's an attorney. I'm in my office right now, but we're just structuring it, so we're taking breaks. But it's a very real thing, man. It's crazy. Yeah, I do see the kids a lot anyway, and that they're my why, they're my purpose, right? But it's it's tough to say the least. However, it's all about perspective at the end of the day, and really kind of pivoting your mind, make sure your mind's strong, make sure you're throwing the best into your mind that you possibly can in any given day. You know?
Yeah, man. I think it's also important to remember that, this is a process. I think that virtual training is cool for like companies and stuff. I
Mhm.
completely agree. There's a lot of homeschooling advocates out there. I think it's good for a lot of reasons in some ways, but you don't have access to other kids. You don't have access to real life situations. And so the parents would argue, oh, well, this, that, or the other thing. It's like, listen, dude, you know, you can't,
I'm not going to
you,
dog on it. I
you
mean,
can't. Here's
it's
the
one of
thing,
those
dude.
things.
No, I'm a live event host and stuff like that. So I will down
Yeah.
it because I think that you cannot take away person to person interaction. There's a difference between people who are great person-to-person interactors and the people that aren't. And I personally think people who are great person-to-person interactors are the ones that get out and do the craziest, awesomest stuff. That's my opinion. You don't have to, nobody has to agree with it, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I have been successful. I met you. I met all these successful people because I'm willing to go out in public and interact with people. There is no other way. That's how the world works. I mean, plain and simple. We can't
That's
just
how the world
lock
works.
ourselves in our houses for the rest of our lives and think, hey, this is the best way to do things. Because it's not.
Yeah, man. I do. I agree with you. The interpersonal is, I build off of that energy level. I think you obviously do as well. Very extroverted. There are people that are somewhat going to be introverted. I think we're all, the intention of the inner beings of us are meant to be interpersonal. That's actually one of the things that five habits of highly effective people is the interpersonalization, right? And being able to lead effectively through that interpersonalization. I was actually listening to John Maxwell podcast, and that number one thing of leadership right now as we're going through these trials is also an empathy. I think you have to be interpersonal to show that empathy, right? You can't be cold. And when we go back to the homeschooling route, and if that's right or wrong, I don't know, but I do believe that when you're in school, you develop more interpersonal relationships that are just that are amazing, right? So I've built and cultivated lifelong relationships with people through my interpersonal skills, and then just being completely transparent, and just honest and open. My wife and I just maintain we maintain our reality, and then we also maintain just the confidence in our relationship through over communication. I think you develop that right in schools, engaging with other kids, right? You develop a certain level of communication, yeah, it's important. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the Corona care. It is what it is. I just want to face it head on. Is that it is difficult. We have 3 under 3 right now in our house, just running around, acting amok, going crazy. And quite honestly, we felt bad that there were at times where we just had to throw them in front of a TV because we just needed to break away and work. But at the end of the day, it's like, why feel bad? We're just making do. Like, you got to make do. You got to pivot. I just think there's an immense amount of opportunity, and I'm seeing what's ahead, right? The opportunity ahead. And there's some things you just have to be nimble with. You have to pivot in your parenting style just a little bit. But at the same time, maintain structure, right? Maintain structure within the household. So
Well, yeah.
I just want to come out and say, we definitely don't have it all together. But one thing I do have together is I know my purpose and I know my why, right? And that's God and my wife. Those are the number one, number two. And that communicating with my wife is most important. So when I take up her hours, because I have to work, because there's a lot, I'm working until usually midnight is when I cut it off, just because my sleep, it'll impact my sleep schedule. So I've been limiting my sleep a little bit. Still try to get up a little bit earlier, but I just have to get those nights and get that work in. But I'll break off, and really, I think it's through my acts of abiding that, okay, Matt, now's the time to go communicate with your wife. Like, the kids are down, you help her get down. Let's talk for 20, 25 minutes. Let's just communicate and enjoy each other's presence. So that's what I do with my wife. One thing that I wanted to tell you, Pat, and the rest of everybody else listening, all the followers, that my buddy and I were talking. In Proverbs, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And I just get that from people. I get that from putting just confidence builders in my life that we can mastermind together collectively. Pat and I have mastermind. I've been in a couple. I actually just was in one this past weekend. But my buddy and I were masterminding a little bit, throwing stuff off of each other. And he came up with this. He heard this from somebody else or a book he read. But he asked me the question. He's like, Matt, when's the best time to plant a tree? I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, the best time to plant a tree? Probably when it's raining out, right? So it gets nutrients right away, so it can build up the root systems. He's like, no. He's like, he said it again. When's the best time to plant a tree?
20 years ago.
And I'm like, I guess during the daylight, because you can see when you're planting it. And he said, Matt, the best time to plant a tree is 100 years ago because today you would be reaping the benefits. You'd be the fruits of your labor. Uh, he said, when's the second best time, Matt, to plant a tree? I'm going to ask you
Today.
that, Pat. When's the second best?
Today.
Today, man,
I've
today.
already heard that analogy though like 700 times, you know. Cuz I've been
So
to every
anyway,
motivational conference on the planet at this point. But it is a
so
good one.
it is such a good one. Plant that tree today. When's the best time to start working on your marriage? Today. Today. I started working on my marriage 5 years ago when I was having problems with my marriage. I'm like, hey, I got to do something about it. If I'm going to make this thing work, I'm going to do something about it. And I'll tell you what, because I worked on it 5 years ago today, I am the man I am today. And my wife and I's relationship it is today because I planted my tree 5 years ago, right?
Well,
So what
yeah.
are we doing to plant that tree to reap
Well,
that
yeah, and
harvest?
that's why we just kind of hopped on live. And generally, I don't use Zoom with this program. I am today, so the video's a little choppy. I
Uh,
don't think that the audio is, but it's like, why not just try it today? I mean, we can just go back to using Skype, which is more better for Ecamm. But there's all these different solutions now for live streaming because people can't access each other in person as much. So we've got to try every tool, try every single thing that we can to possibly make it work and communicate with our audience these days. And I mean, I'm even going to
yeah.
start live streaming with my guitar because it's just going to keep me sane. Because we can't even go places. There's people being fined in California for going and watching the sunset. It's a $1,000 fine. So I mean,
$1,000
this thing is
sunset.
serious. You can't
No
not
doubt.
follow the rules, you know?
Got to follow the rules. Hey, let's jump into COVID-19 then, the second set.
I
So
mean, COVID
COVID-19
is
is a real
here.
thing. COVID's here. It's a very real thing. So we're doing our part. Pat's doing his part. Everyone's it seems like they're doing their part. A lot of people, I guess, maybe not all. But I'm originally from southeastern Michigan, now in Central Florida. They're getting hit hard, man. They're getting hit hard. We know family members that have gotten hit. Definitely praying for them. But it's one of those things where it's a very real thing. We need to be honest with ourselves.
It is.
We're going to do our part.
And I
Yeah.
mean, our buddy Lee Carney got sick with COVID-19, and I
He
mean
did, man.
that was
Also
that
prayers
was
to him.
crazy
He
because
had
well, yeah, he
an
got
upper
through it and
respiratory. Yeah.
he's recovering, but we both know. I mean, he has had in the past few months, some heart issues and some other issues, and so when he told me that he was tested positive, I mean, he is someone with underlying conditions, which means he is more high risk to get hit hard by this thing. And it's weird because it hits one person hard and then another person might just get kind of sick and not even know they have it. And so I think that's the weird thing about this is it can be confusing because we don't know who's going to get hit hard with it and who isn't. So that makes it even more confusing on top of the fact that it's just like kind of came out of nowhere. And,
Yeah.
now we're seeing economic effects. 1/3 of the population of renters in this entire country could not pay rent for March.
Yeah.
Well, we are seeing 10 million people have filed for unemployment. So while the virus is real, so is the economic impact of shutting down businesses. And so now, there's the back and forth arguing online of where do we draw the line with all of this? I don't know. In fact, to be completely honest, I'm glad I'm not the person in charge because I have no idea what the heck I would do. There's a lot of people's livelihoods on the line, and there's a lot of people's health on the line. And both of those things, in my opinion, are very important. So I'm not the one who makes the decisions in this country. I just play guitar and play with my toys. God bless America. I'm fortunate enough to have that opportunity. So from my standpoint, all I can say is that, man, I pray for the people who are on the front lines working. They're the ones that are, in my opinion, the most highly at risk for this whole thing. And dude, I mean, they are warriors because as
Yeah,
we've
man. What's
seen
really
in
cool.
New York, there are some hospitals that are very busy. There's a lot of numbers out there, and it's again another job that I don't know how I would cope with that situation. So much love to the first responders in the healthcare industry.
Without a doubt, man. It's in New York, they actually at shift change, all of New York will actually open up their windows and start slamming their pots and pans. Um, just giving kudos to the all the first responders in this case, and it definitely is hitting home with us as we have family. My sister-in-law, she's a PA, and then there's other people actually within the healthcare system. Many on my wife's side that are actually on the draft lines in the front, leading piece of trying to find a vaccination for this too as well. Um, so I mean, it's a very real thing. Like we said, like we mentioned, we just really have to do our part. But I mean, at the end of the day, we have to. There's a reality check to it as well, right? Like you were saying, right? The unemployment. There's probably maybe going to be close to 100,000 deaths. We don't know. You know that's where like kind of a trend that we see. We don't know where the cutoff's going to be, but there could be potentially 100,000 deaths in America, which is I think 3 times what influenza is. So I think influenza is roughly around 30 to 35,000 in a given year, and coronavirus could triple that. So I mean, it's we just have to meet it head on. We have to see um, what where it's going to go. But like at the end of the day, this is a movement of fear. So what does it look like to stay the course? Put in there hashtag staying the course, right? What does that look like? I think for myself and my business, you said 1/3 of renters are going to be struggling to pay rent, right? We've seen that. We have apartments. And our apartments, we've seen that, right? There's been renters reaching out to us saying, hey, we can't make rent. They're proactively reaching out. We
That
unfortunately have
sucks.
to, we're hitting a bunch of people too saying, hey, look, like, food, shelter, and water, those are your main priorities. And right now we're giving you one of the main priorities, is shelter, right? And we still need to collect at the end of the day because we got to pay a mortgage bill. Like this is all a compounding effect, right? We can't, the forbearance thing is not even real, because the forbearance thing, if you decide not to pay your mortgage payment for the next 2 months, that means when this thing is lifted, you have 3 months of mortgage payments you better make up on in the next 90 days. How are you going to do that without a job? That's just not a real thing. Like you have to, you everyone has to be super strategic with their not only their budget and their finances, but then how are they presenting themselves with like new opportunities, um, and and their employment, right? You don't use this time to hop on Netflix. Don't use this time to learn something new, like learn a new trait, learn a new skill set while you're sitting there. I know not everyone has a ton of time, but like if you give yourself the ability and an outlet, one thing I've honestly been working on, because I know it's going to create a new opportunity for me, is learning Spanish. I've been working on Spanish for the last. It was a kind of a New Year's resolution. I've been working on Spanish for the last 3 months. Man, I've seen an amazing amount of growth in that area. And I ultimately, my goal over the next year and a half is really to become fluent, number one, and then to be able to speak more business terminology in Spanish, because I know that creates a completely all new doors open up. So that's the one thing I've been working on, is try to build a new skill set. But what does staying the course look like? We had to pivot a little bit. We originally, when I was getting off the ground with so I have 2 different companies. We have Cadence Capital Ventures, super excited about, something that I want to talk about even a little bit more in detail today, because we're going through capital raises. We're going to be building out a fund for some of the things that we see at upcoming opportunities. We already have opportunities in our pipeline that we're doing capital raise. So we just got initiated with actually a $2.2 million raise. So with which we're seeking out some accredited investors. We're going to be doing some like really cool stuff. But what does staying the course look like? Well, we just have to keep going. I was in a mastermind this weekend though, and there was a little bit of like, all right, uncertainty of like what staying the course looks like to me, and then how do I also stay liquid? So Ed Cobell, so shout out to him, and awesome guy, an amazing mind, but he's the CEO of DeBartolo Development. And so I was on a mastermind call with him actually this past weekend, and he had 3 things. And I'll give you these 3 things. He said, get liquid, keep good credit, and solidify your investors. Those were 3 things that he said in the next 90 days really work on. And then not just the next 90 days, but really even further out. So we had a couple things in the pipeline as far as overall inventory that we're just like we're liquidating. So we're liquidating a lot of our real estate, smaller real estate opportunities that we just feel like they're better to get rid of at this time, get a little bit more liquid, and see things through for the next, really 12, 18, 24 months. So that's what we're working on. If I could give you three things a one of the greatest minds, I think, probably of the 21st century. Ed Cobell is just amazing. But get liquid, keep good credit, and solidify investors um, is really what it means at this time. What people should be doing, and how what staying the course looks like. Now, on a different shift is what does your team look like? How is your team broken up? So what we decided to do is we had to pivot a little bit, right? So instead of having domestic resources here, I reached out to a couple people, mastermind with them. They gave me a lot of valuable information. But we're like, all right, what does our team look like? Considering there's a lot of people now in unemployment and that are now entering back into the labor force of like, hey, I need a new job, or I need it. So what we did was we hire a lot of like international, so VAs, and what I decided to pivot a little bit and look towards Colombia, right? So because I'm like wanting to learn Spanish, right? That's one thing. And then what does our supply chain look like, and how we can modify our supply chain for future growth? Uh, it is amazing some of the talent that I found, that right now, specifically with people outside of the labor force coming back in, that you can get top A talent. So we're actually going into a hiring spree instead of backing off. We're looking for some of the best talent so that we can be prepared in the next 3, 6, 9 months to really take advantage of a lot of the opportunities that might exist.
Mm.
We think, I was just masterminding the other day and reflecting a little bit even with myself, is that what are the opportunities that I see potentially in the next probably 3, 6, 9 months. So we're talking about this forbearance issue, right? Forbearance is okay, your credit might be protected for the next 30, 60 days, maybe even the next 90 days. But once this forbearance kicks in and then you see all these delinquencies come through, that's going to be massive against your credit, right? So where's the opportunity that I'm thinking, right, is that I'm really trying to seek out somebody that's within that space that maybe I could partner up with, and that we could get into a credit repair company, right? So I'm thinking of opportunities that can create cash flow almost right away, that are business opportunities that, okay, there's new outlets, new verticals of cash flow that I see as potential in the next probably 90 to 120 days. So we're looking at, credit repair companies is going to be huge, right? There's an immense amount of opportunity across the board. Obviously, real estate's going to be our niche. That's going to be my main focus. But like, what are we doing to think and setting ourselves up for like where are the opportunities? Where are they going to exist? Ed Cobell put a really, really good quote out there. Don't be a worrier, be a warrior. So if you're going to be looking at opportunities, you need to be a warrior. You need to be looking at opportunities. And you fall flat on your face. That's the thing with me. And it's like, if you fall flat on your face, who cares? Like if like who you thought was your friend is going to kick you while you're down, like they weren't your friend in the first place. They weren't that good of friends, right?
Big
You
facts,
want to be
y'all. Big
surrounded.
facts.
You want to surround yourself with the tens, the A players that are going to lift you up. And hey, the reality is, entrepreneurism, everything comes with a risk. It doesn't matter. It was, what else was a risk is when you maybe took a job. I'm an entrepreneur, so like at the end of the day, I report to myself. Actually, I report to God and my wife. But when you take a job, that's a risk, right? Because we found out that our reliance was on that person or that job or whatever that was, and then as soon as you're expendable overnight, a lot of people found out that they were expendable. So that's what are we doing? How are we staying the course? What does that look like? I think staying the course is surrounding ourselves with 10 players, A plus talent, right? Um, and identifying the opportunities. Take the time to reflect, learning new skill sets that create new levels of opportunity for us that ultimately are going to pay dividends later down the road. So I promise you, they might be, maybe it's like you got into something, they don't pay dividends now, but I at the end of the day, like when's the best time to plant a tree? I go back to it. When's the best time to plant a tree?
Right now
Best
or
time to plant a tree
100 years ago? I made a little
right now or
banner.
100
I
years.
made a little banner on the screen that says big facts and pointed at it because Maddie is dropping some big facts on you guys. You got to understand that, like, what you might consider stable income is only stable when it's stable. What you consider making it, you've only made it at the moment that you're making it. I have friends that sold 10 million records in a year 15 years ago that don't even play guitar anymore. So, while they made it at that moment, 6 months, a year, 2, 5 years later, they weren't making it that day. So what you have today could be gone tomorrow. I think that's when people ask me why I've done what I've done and stuck it out for so long. It's because I've always understood that. If I'm not happy doing what I love to do right now, I'm not going to be happy 5 years from now doing something else. I might as well just do it. And it got me down this rabbit hole of doing this thing and stuff like this, streaming or hosting a live event or playing my guitar. All those things kind of go hand in hand. And I think it's important for people to remember that you've got to be willing to adapt.
You got to be willing to adapt. The Christian Ferris, a real pastor and motivational speaker, he said there's two controllables in life, right? This isn't anything new, but it's still, hopefully it feeds into somebody. There's two things in life, and you hit on one of them. Number one is action, and the second is attitude. So you have two controllables in life: action and attitude. You can maintain a good attitude. You can be negative about this whole thing. I do. I get in a slump. Like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, why is there toys around my house? Like, all the time. Like, what is this? Like, we got to start picking this stuff up. Like, this stuff, like small things, right? That'll, you'll be like, why is this the case? But you need to pivot, right? Usually it's due to lack of sleep. But then it's you're pivoting in your mind, right? Hey, not that important. Really not that important. Pick it up, put it away. Action, action, action item. That's something that's super small, but action and attitude are the main things that are going to be the controllables in your life. So plant a tree today, and then build on that, right? With a great attitude. Always give to people. Always be intentional and purposeful with people. And dude, you'll reap the harvest. Promise you'll reap the harvest.
Oh, you will
Might
reap the harvest
30 days,
in
might not
one
be
way or
60 days,
another.
might not be. You will reap the harvest. I promise you that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Well, you got anything else for the people here? This is our live stream test. I like it. I feel good about it, and I think it's convenient and it's fun, and it gives us a way to kind of shoot from the hip and just go back and forth. I mean, we do these Zoom calls. We'll probably start doing these once a week just to keep it fresh for everybody. It's just where everything's going. So we kind of want to be in front of everybody in that way. And I think it's important to remember that anything we say could be different for you. Your situation could be different. You could be like, hey, I like this, I like that. I can apply these things, but like I'm at where I'm at right here in this situation. And so, hey, more power to you. I mean, I think that we're just seeing the beginning of this corona crisis. We're just seeing the beginning of this virus attack. And this is, we all want it over as quick as possible. I think that the realist way to look at it is we've got to make sure that we're living in the current moment and saying, hey, man, I'm lucky to have everything I have. And I've always been a big advocate of that. Always. There's nothing wrong. I was on Brad Lee's show the other day, and there's nothing wrong with wanting a Ferrari or wanting millions of dollars or making that a goal or anything. I think that's awesome, dude. Great. I would drive one. Yeah. I don't know anybody that if you pulled up in a Ferrari that wouldn't jump in it and enjoy it. The moral of the story is it's like you've got to be happy now doing what you're doing or change it or when you have those things, you're not going to be happy with those things anyway. Those things aren't just going to magically make you happy. They might be a nice reminder of a nice reward But I mean, if you're not happy right now, you gotta find a way to make a shift and plant. So that's why we talk about reap the harvest. You got to plant the seeds that are going to
Plant the
develop
seeds
and grow and
today. Today.
harvest. Yeah, and become what you got to become the person that you want to be. If you see yourself in those things, what kind of person do you need to become to get to that goal? What kind of daily
Yeah.
work do you need to put in? So I think that's all really important. We've all got work to do, man. And I'm telling you, I use those examples because I know guys. Carlos Reyes, I've ridden in his Rolls Royce before. You hit the button and like the door opens and closes. We went and grabbed the little smoothie in his Rolls Royce, and I mean, dude, he still drives around in a Prius sometimes. He kept his Prius just so he can drive around in the Prius sometimes because it's just a car. The Rolls Royce gets him to the same place the Prius does, but he's just as happy in the Prius as he is in the Rolls Royce. I think that's the lesson. The Rolls Royce doesn't
It's
magically
always
make
nice.
Carlos
It's
happy.
always nice to, it's always nice to be driving in the Prius, but you know you got the Rolls Royce parked at home.
You got the rolls, dude. It's all good. I'll grab the rolls for a afternoon smoothie. But I think that's a great mindset. He
Yeah, I
doesn't
think
need
the way
that
I
any of that to be happy.
the way I explain it is, knowing your why, right? John Montero, I follow him on Facebook, and he's a good following. Yeah, Texas Multifamily Network. If you haven't signed up for that and you're into multifamily, please connect with that Facebook group. He does a good job of leading some valuable content. Um, but I'm in the same mindset of him. I've been in this mindset actually for a while. But knowing your why, right? Knowing your why over stuff. Stuff is never going to appeal to you, and if that's your why, if stuff is your why, then you'll be very limited. There's never going to be your success is going to be super limited. Yeah, like money can be a figure, but it has to be the result. It can't be the result. It just the money in general. Actually, I said that wrong. So money can be the result. It just can't be the cause. So your cause has to be something completely different. If the money is the byproduct, I think I've said this in the previous podcast, but if it's the result and never the cause of why you're doing something, and it's just a
Mm.
byproduct, that's that's ultimately what money or stuff should serve as, right? It's mean you're successful in other areas, and that like money just came as the result. It was the byproduct of all that, because we've learned this and just across the board that money is never going to be bring happiness in any way, right? People bring happiness without a doubt. Relationships bring happiness. And one thing in sanity and reality checks that I want to bring up, I went live actually a few weeks ago. But one thing that I wanted to actually say that has helped me in creating mindset, right? I have this active abiding every morning. I dig into the Word of God because I am a man of faith. And the one thing that I do, right, is I try to like grab somebody, something, right, that I'm extremely grateful for that day, and that then I'll shoot them a text, right, saying, "Hey, man, I appreciate you. I'm praying for you. Hey, whoever it might be, I want to give a shout out maybe to somebody to show encouragement." Whether there is a certain element of fake it till you make it, I do believe that there's a small truth into that. I think it's big on the reticular activating system and changing your element of truth, because if you constantly put like negative thoughts in your head, that's what you will reap, is just negative thoughts
Oh,
constantly. If you
absolutely.
constantly put positive thoughts in your head, then you're going to create positivity around you, and just like the energies of this world change. So the one thing that I like doing is I like just throwing out encouragement to somebody very early on in the day, and it kind of almost sets a tone for that day. That okay, I put encouragement out in the world to somebody else, so that, but then I did it once, then it just can be a compounding factor, right? And the one thing that's that I try to do to my wife at least like 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day is I'm like, damn, girl, you are sexy. Like I just tell her that, but I say that to her, but I mean, that's the reality is that she's like, yeah, thanks, you know, she's appreciative of it, right? And that doesn't become old when you're like, damn, that's sexy. So uh I like I know my wife appreciates that. I obviously mean it. Like, I mean, I do think she's sexy. I love her to death. But those are, whether it's your wife, whether it's your kid, whether you believe it or not, sometimes it's going up to your kid and being like, yo, I'm really proud of you. One thing that I've actually shifted in my parenting technique and style is that at the end of the day, I get mad at my kid. Like I like do like Genevieve was running around like crazy the other day, and she like pummeled her sister, and I like just got super irritated with her, grabbed her, put her in her room, and like I was like, I knew that I shouldn't have reacted that way. So what I did was I went to her and I was like, hey, Daddy's really sorry for reacting that way, for getting mad at you, and let me explain to you why. Right, this is why
Mm.
I got mad. And so explain, she's 3 years old. But I'll tell you what, I already know that type of parenting is going to impact me, not her, me, like 6, 7 years down by just, the way I handle and approach certain situations. And I know that she will see that in me and will 100% bring an element of humility, and empathy that I think is extremely important, but we can learn collectively together. I can learn from a 3-year-old just like I can learn from John Maxwell or Ed Cobell or all these other people that Ed Milet that I learn from on a daily basis. Learn from Pat all the time. He's always feed me with from some new and good information. So I think those just an element of like humanity, humanity is a good word too, but humility, gives you a reality and a sanity check. And those are the things that I just wanted to, I touched on relatively briefly, but those are the sanity checks that I can apologize to a 3-year-old. I am not too prideful. So anyways, I think that
Had to
it's
put the big facts banner up there one more time.
put the big facts banner. I love it. But yeah, that's our reality, right? Being a constant encourager, and that's planting that tree today. Those are planting those seeds today, so that you can reap the harvest. You can reap the harvest whenever that tree starts blooming. So I think that was a good analogy to reap the harvest, right? That what my buddy gave me. I love it. The best time to plant a tree is today.
I love it. I love it. Well, go out and
You love
plant
it.
some trees, people. Be positive. Understand that, what you do today blossoms into what you become, what your future looks like in any area of your life. And so go after it. Don't be afraid. Hop on Facebook Live, declare it. That's why I always encourage these videos. Is you can always look back at what you did and make it better. You can always figure out new ways to win and document your progress. So use social
Yeah.
media to your advantage. Don't just use it to get angry in comment sections and argue with people. I mean, I've seen a lot of that, and I'm telling you something. It's a destructive behavior. That's
Yeah.
that's where I'm at with it. It's a waste of your time and it's destructive. You're not going to change anybody's opinion yelling at them in the comments of their post. So get out there and be
No.
productive. Plant
No.
those seeds and be great. Maddie, until next time, my friend.
Hey, one sec. I want to, if we got a couple extra minutes here.
Yeah, we have as much time as you want, really.
All right, cool. So this is what I want to do. I think this is something I want to put out into the world. Obviously, I'm trying to put out some really positive energy. Some really good stuff is happening on the horizon for me. I want to give back in any way that I can to other people. So this is what I'm looking to do, right? I'm going to dedicate for the next I would say 30 days at minimum, right? We're going to do coaching. So I'm going to do free coaching, and I'm going to do it across the board. If somebody's struggling, we're going to try to get groups of probably like 5, I would say. We'll have to flesh this out a little bit more. Pat's going to put on stuff, but this is going to be absolutely free. So this is going to be free coaching that I'm going to give. We're going to hop on Zoom calls. I'll take you through some stuff. But if somebody's actually just not in a good mental capacity, right? If somebody's not in, they're looking to just do bigger things with their life. They're being kind of negative right now. This is a group for like pure optimism, right? To kind of build that along. So what we're gonna do is I'm I'm gonna leave it at 5, right? So we're gonna try to get a group of 5. We'll do 2 groups. We'll do anywhere from 30-minute to hour sessions, and we'll do it. We'll try to do it on a weekly. So we'll build out a schedule. I'm a little spontaneous on this right now, so we're actually going to build this out. But if you're interested in real estate, awesome. That's a positive because I got some really big things going on right now, and that I'll probably share with a little bit more intimate group. And then we're gonna be pushing some out. So if you actually want to get in contact, though, a little all over the place, shifting just real quick. If you want to get in contact with me about some of the raises that we're having for Cadence Capital Ventures, we have definitely some big deals in our pipeline that are currently under contract. We're going to be raising roughly around anywhere from 5 to 7 million. There's some great returns for accredited investors. If you aren't an accredited investor, but you want to be part of it, please just reach out to me. You can go on my website. So it's www. You don't have to do that. Cadence Capital Ventures. So Cadence, word Cadence, CAD. Awesome. If you could do that, that would be phenomenal. So cadencecapitalventures.com. We have some great opportunities. We're going to be doing some raises on. So please reach out to me. We're going to be hosting a webinar actually on those raises and the deals and the returns that you're going to have as far as a credit investor. So please take a look at that. And I would love to talk to you a little bit more about some of the stuff we got going on.
CADENCE, correct?
Yes, Cadence Capital Ventures. So
Got
Cadence
it.
Capital Ventures, that's capital with AL Ventures.com. So please, you can do that. You can also reach out directly to me on Facebook. Please like my business page, Official Matt Tech, and then on my IG at Official Matt Tech. Now, going back to these coaching sessions, so if you're struggling, if you're just not in a really good mental capacity, we'd like to really bring you on board and kind of go through this process, right, of changing your mind, changing your reticular activating system to bleed positivity in this world. So I'm going to do that, man. I'm going to do that. I'm going to commit to that. We're going to do, let's say we're going to do 2 groups of 5. So if you want to get an intimate group, if somebody wants to reach out to either Pat or myself, we'll do a little bit of coaching. We'll go through that and see where we can take you, bring you in and take it to the next level as far as just what we're talking about today, right? Taking you through this Corona challenge. Maybe we'll do a hashtag Corona challenge.
Corona challenge. We might even make a TikTok dance.
That's right. And that's all about planting that tree today. So we can take you through that. And I can, we'll even talk about some of the things that I going on. But specifically, we can just hit on a number of things. Number 1, marriage. Number 2, parenting, how we parent. If you're not in the spiritual realm, you don't need to be a Christian per se to be, or faith-based in general. But I'll set expectations. I am, and I talk about it a lot. So that's just something that maybe take into consideration when you're signing up for it, I guess. That's where I get a lot of my positivity and motivation from. So we'll limit to 10 people, right? I only have a limited amount of time. Weeklies always are going to be best just because you need to maintain momentum. Momentum's a big factor. So I just want to give to as many people, but this is going to be a little bit more intimate session, right? And it's going to be completely free of charge. I just want to really develop, in others what I found really in myself, right? At a time in my life, probably 5-6 years ago, I was really negative about my marriage and really cynical in my own ways in my course of life. But man, has God blessed me immensely, and that positivity I'm willing to give it back to the people want to take action. You got to take action though today. So you got to take action. So I'm willing to do coaching sessions. We have to do a little bit more intimate and in group settings though. It would just, 5 hours in a given week is probably a little too much. So you have to also be willing to be open with other people and be vulnerable. So we'll create 2 different small groups, maxing out at 10. And we can set that up through Zoom calls. We obviously are not going to be meeting because we're going to be, stay home, people, stay home. So that's it. That's all I got. CadenceCapitalVentures.com. If you're looking to sell your house, traction home offer. I got a couple companies. And but thoughts and prayers with everyone out there. But you know, we got it. Pet at the Acoustic Force, Matt, official Matt Tech. Follow me. We love you all. Appreciate it. OMT. We out.
We'll see you guys next time.